loud, but bring them all out. Turn it up loud, but bring them all out. Turn it up loud, but
Welcome to the Dial In Podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa Pimentel, and I'm so glad that you guys are tuning in tonight. We have an incredible podcast for you tonight. A special guest that we're going to introduce in just a moment. But first, I want to give a huge thank you to our amazing sponsor, Jay's Tires and Customs in Round Lake Heights. If you're looking to level up your ride, pimp your ride, this is your guy, whether it is lowering your vehicle or just doing any kind of custom suspension work, lift kits, lowering kits. They also offer wheels and tires. Then you're going to want to stop by and see Juan Cruz with Jay's Tires and Customs, who made this podcast possible today by sponsoring for it. And his phone number is 224-733-5267. And they're located at 824 West Rollins Road. So if you want to pimp your ride, take it to Scoop the Loop or anything else, that's your guy to go to. Shout out Juan Cruz. And now I get to introduce our wonderful guest, this wonderful man who's done some great things in Lake County, Waukegan. CEO, Mr. George Moore Jr. Welcome.
Wow, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Look at this setup.
Like it?
Man, this is amazing. RF39 Productions. Shout out to y'all.
Shout out
this
them.
Is amazing. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Always shout out to RF39 Productions. Thank you for showing them some love. They
Yeah.
make all of this possible. This is a whole production.
I see.
People don't realize that like going live is not an easy feat. So I appreciate that they want to do that. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
So George, I personally know you because I've been to your place, which shout out, congrats on
thank you.
taking over the old Remax building.
Yes.
I had my eyes on it, and I was
did you for real?
when it was sold, I was like, "Who bought it?" And then it was you, and I was like, "Okay, I can't even be mad. I can't even be mad."
Listen, we got to shout out Adrian Johnson, Senator
Okay,
Adrian
yes.
Johnson. She had a grant that was competitive, and Allendale got the other half of that. And so we are excited that we were able to get the grant and do amazing work. But you came and saw us prior to that
I
building.
did, yeah.
And you brought a donation. That's how I first met you.
Yeah.
Shout out to Alyssa.
Oh, thank you.
For
You're
bringing
so
a
sweet.
donation to us with clothing. You came to
Clothing,
our
household
closet.
items, yes.
Man, I mean, that's how I first met you. And you just have that spirit.
Thank you.
So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. With that being said, people are probably like, "Well, what is it that he does?" If they don't know you, right? Like, what is she donating to? Why did he get this grant? You are the CEO of Legacy Reentry, not for profit.
Yes.
Can you talk to people, let them know a little bit about what that is?
So we just want to give people second chances.
Yes.
Okay, now what does that look like? Somebody like me, destitute, nothing, come from nothing to something. God did it. I give him all the glory. But
Amen.
here it is. I'm going back to get me. That's what Legacy is doing. We're going back to get the person that looks like us, that is formerly incarcerated. We're helping formerly incarcerated individuals to reintegrate back into society, not just people who are incarcerated, but anybody who needs a second chance. They can come, and you mentioned the community closet. I
Yeah.
know what it's like to try to get clothing, and then someone have to question you, and I didn't want that. Don't embarrass me.
Right.
So I'm not going to do that to you. So we created, by way, I have to shout out my wife.
Yes,
By the way, I
please
have to shout out
do.
Gina Moore.
Shout out Gina.
She has these ideals as well. So we came up with a community closet, and everything that we do with Legacy Reentry Foundation is us going back to get us. So most of the programs you see, we have several programs, youth development, violence prevention, reentry, of course, and then having to do with cognitive health, mental illness and mental health. All those things are us saying, this is what we once needed.
Yeah.
And so 95% of our staff are just as impacted. So we're saying, let's go back and get us.
Absolutely.
And so most of our programs, like I need a clothes, you got a clothing closet. I need to serve community service hours, you have that. You have,
Oh, wow.
we have life skills. I need life skills. I used to rap.
Yeah,
I
okay.
used to flow. I could flow a little bit.
You can flow a
If
little
I-
bit. Talk
if I
about
had to,
dial in.
now,
No, I'm just
now,
playing.
if I have to freestyle right now, come off the dome, no. But I want to express myself, and so the youth need a place to express themselves. So we have a studio. Shout out to Josh Randolph.
He was on the podcast recently.
He knocked it out.
And of course,
always
he
does.
knocked it out. He was
Listen,
wonderful.
Shout out to Josh Bishop. We had
Yes.
this inside joke, but that's my guy. And, of course, with Carlos Smith. Oh
Yes,
my God.
shout out Carlos.
Robin E., our marketing director. Zach, who does all the stuff with the cameras and everything. LMG, Legacy Marketing Group. We're giving our youth the ability to express themselves. And so if they can't express themselves, if they can't talk, if they can't rap, if they can't do spoken word, if they can't sing, and that's somehow, a way for them to release that aggression
Yeah,
instead of releasing it on you and me.
right.
And so we have a studio, we got a barbershop now.
Okay.
Yes,
Praise God.
God did it, and there's so much that we're able to do now that we couldn't do before because He has grown us over the years. By the way, this is our 10-year anniversary.
Yay!
Come on, give it up.
10 years.
2015, we're officially established a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Been doing the work for 20 years.
Wow.
And but since 2015,
Well, how did you know that, like, okay, obviously you talk about that maybe you had a past,
of course.
and how did you come out of that and realize this is something I want to do? God has put me in a position to want to, like, what's the testimony with
Yeah.
Legacy?
So basically, when people say, how'd you come out of it? I'm still in it.
Yeah.
We were talking about earlier that,
Yep.
if I'm driving down the street, I just preached the gospel today at a church.
Amen.
But if a police officer pulls me over and they look at their computer, they come to the opposite side of the car clutching their gun.
Right.
And so this is what we live with, and that's why I'm able to speak differently. I'm passionate about what I do because I understand you're still dealing with it. You're still going through it. And God has brought me out of a horrible pit, out of a miry clay, but I understand what it's like. I still live on Wallace. I'm
Right.
still by the barbershop. I understand what it's like to be in these predicaments. So though we're still living in it, that's why we're able to go back and get people like us. And so, I have partial of my testimony in California because I was born in Waukegan.
Okay.
And my mother moved me out to California at an early age because she was tired of my dad and they got divorced.
Okay.
And so, long story short, my name was George at that time, and I changed it to Dante.
Oh, snap.
That's right.
Okay.
It's still on it's on my social. I might as well be honest.
Yes.
So
yes.
a lot of my guys in California, they may call me Dante Steele because when I graduated from high school, EC, they still, that's Dante. But when I got delivered and got my right mind,
Right.
I wasn't mad at my father. But long story short, I did everything that you could possibly imagine under the sun. I've been shot at folk, did terrible things, have disappointed my mother, been incarcerated for 2 years and 3 months over testimonies. My testimony involves people that I can't even speak about the whole testimony because those people are still alive. And it has disappointed and hurt folk. I am going on 50 years old this year.
Congratulations. You look great.
30 years ago,
Yeah.
these crimes happened. But I am still living with the after effects. That's why mental health and cognitive health is so important. Renewing the mind. How do I stand up and say, you know what, I'm going back to get me when me is still in trouble?
And I feel like there's so many, and thank you for sharing that. I feel like there's so many people who don't know how to maneuver and start a new path, right? They're like, well, this is just who I am, right? Like this is just who I am. But you talk about being delivered. You talk about, renewing your mind. Do you feel that is something that has to happen for people? And maybe we're going a little off track, but
No.
I'm curious as a Christian, when we talk about deliverance, I think it's huge.
Yes.
And we're battling these demons and these things that aren't necessarily like us, and we know that it's not like us, so we want to do better. But do you feel that has to happen for people? Deliverance?
Yes. I'm glad that you asked that because when we use words like deliverance and renewing the mind to somebody who they're not churchy like I am,
Right.
those are buzzwords. What does that really mean? And so what we're talking about is basically, let's talk about renewing the mind. What does that look like? It looks like you are what you eat. You are what you consume. So if I keep watching this type of material, keep
Yes.
talking like this, I'll become that. And I could go into rappers and individuals who died over the things they kept saying. And so everybody knows and understands that terminology and that lingo.
Like manifestation. Everyone understands manifestation. Everybody wants to manifest. I want to manifest. I want to manifest. But you got to realize manifestation began with the Bible. Right?
Preach.
So, but I think that's something that's huge because, like you said, you are what you eat. You are, the result of what you're putting in, what your eyes are taking in. And people are like, well, I can't get out of this. Well, you're literally not getting out of it because you're still in what you're seeing.
Yes.
So that's what you're talking about with renewing of the mind.
Exactly. And you broke that down. So here it is. I'm a guy that, here I'm reading the Bible, and I'm not just reading it like a newspaper. I'm literally like really meditating on it. There's another buzzword. I'm going over and over this thing until it gets in my head. I'm watching different things, and all of a sudden I start talking differently and my behavior changes. And so that's what we're talking about, renewing the mind that renews the person that you are.
Right.
People use words like soul, your mind, will, and your emotions, but to make it very simple, whatever you eat or consume, you become that.
Yeah.
And then deliverance is a whole nother animal. That's like, listen, if you were drowning and somebody, threw your rope in there and pulled you out, you understand that.
Right.
Well, that's what Jesus did for us.
Right.
He pulled us out. And you have the ability to jump back in the pool anytime
Right.
or the water.
Right. Or you're going to be real scared and be like, I don't want to drown again. That was horrible.
Yeah. Or it could be rough like me. Like, I
Right.
don't want to even come out. I don't know who's pulling me out.
Right.
But
Right.
So it's very simple to understand that. And so those words we have to evangelize or have to reach people with new terminology and ways they can understand it so we're not too deep.
Absolutely. I agree. Now with that, and you coming out of that, Legacy was born, you said 10 years ago, 15?
It was born 20 years ago.
20 years
10
ago.
years ago, we became an official 501c3.
Oh my gosh. And that's what you do full time.
Full time.
What have you seen so many, I mean, I'm sure you've seen so many lives be transformed. Is there any that have stuck out to you that you were like, man, this is going to be a really tough one?
Let me say this to you. I have stories for days.
I bet.
I have hours of material. I'm going to tell you why. This is not a one-off. Every day something happens at Legacy. I'll tell you something that happened last night.
Talk to me.
I was with Ricky Irby. We were at Juneteenth.
That was such a great event. Let's give a shout out to those guys. They did such a good job.
Brandon Ewing, just the whole crew.
Yes.
The Juneteenth committee. Again, Carlos Robin. Oh man, Big Drew.
That was a really beautiful event. Even RF39 Productions was there capturing it.
Right.
They did such a great job. Shout out to them.
Man, shout out to just everybody, Robert,
Amen.
and the whole fam.
Yes.
And so I was standing next to Ricky, and a guy walked up to me, and out of nowhere, because everybody's just walking everywhere, and he walks up to me, and I'm standing, and I believe in eye contact, so I'm looking at him, and he looks at me, and I'm looking at him, and he didn't break. So I'm like, where is this going?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then Ricky Irby is seeing it too, and he would look like what some out you all might call, he looks thuggish.
Right.
I didn't, but you would say that. And so we didn't know what is this guy doing? What he up to? And he stops and he's looking at me and he says, Legacy. I said, yeah, Legacy. He said, you got a good name in the community. Keep doing what you're doing.
Okay.
Gave me $1 and walked off. I look at Ricky Irby. Ricky looked at me, and we was like, "What just happened, man?" That makes me more passionate. I talk with passion. I walk with passion. I look people in the eye because I feel I am living this every day. And so we got testimonies that are happening every day at Legacy. And so it's a lifestyle. You want to die for that.
Amen. Yeah.
You live for that. I had a heart attack. I got a pacemaker
Oh
right
my
now.
gosh.
I'm living for it. I almost died for this. The day after we signed our contract for the second building is when I had my heart attack.
Can we? I want to talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Signs of a heart attack.
Oh
my gosh. Real quick. We're going to backtrack we're going to sidetrack a little bit because heart attacks can be very silent. They're not always this, like, I'm out. Can you talk about what your experience was with the heart attack?
Wow. What you just did is probably going to save so many lives watching this.
Yes.
Because we went to a leadership meeting at the church, a Christian Faith Fellowship Church. My pastor, Bishop Logan, he was talking, and I'm next to Regina. And
Regina's a wife.
That's my wife.
Okay.
Let's make it clear. That's my wife.
Shout out Regina.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So, and I start sweating. I'm really sweating. And then I start feeling this pain. I mean, the pain was just, I mean, it was unbearable. But I'm like, it's not a heart attack because I'm used to watching the movies, and and when you have a heart attack, you shouldn't even be able to think about what's happening. You should be on the floor.
Right.
So I'm sitting up here like, this is not a heart attack. And this is why you can't be prideful. Prideful. We had nurses and everybody in there, but I said, I'm not going to say anything. And so I went downstairs, threw up a little bit, and I'm like, I feel like I got to throw up. Then I came back upstairs, and then I'm trying to maintain. I'm trying to be cool, like I'm good. But I'm like, now I'm shaking. I'm like, this thing is getting crazy. And next thing you know, I just like, Regina, we got to go. Because I'm not going to fall out in front of, in front of the saints.
Right.
You know what I mean? Dude, I'm a man of God. What are we doing?
Right.
So we get to the car, and I said, we're going to Condell. Because I'm not going to the death hospital.
Right, because I will die.
I will
meet the Lord in person today.
And so, but we got close to Vista, and it was too much. And I was going to go home. I said, let me just lay down for a few minutes. And they told me if I would did that, I would have died.
What did it, other than like the sweating and all that, I mean, obviously, and thank you for sharing that, because like I've learned, it's not this big dramatic movie, like you can move through it, you can talk through it, but it's extremely uncomfortable. What would you compare it to? Would you compare it to like when your heart's racing and sweating, like an anxiety attack, like something severe like that? Or
and they described it. It can be like an anxiety attack, but it's just this pain. It was like a sharp, and it got when I got to the hospital when it was just this all out war.
Oh my gosh!
It was like, now you can't walk. Now you know, and then they had to get me out to Condell, and then they got me out to Barrington, and the ambulance almost tipped over. They're doing 100 because they looked at the vitals, and my stuff was Vista. They had so many people before we got to all that just around me, and my wife is sitting there, and the guy's poking me, and blood's on the floor. He's not doing it right, and they're looking at, and the vitals were going up and down. You know how your heart rate is like 70, 80. Mine was 30.
Oh my gosh.
80, 20, 40.
Oh my gosh.
And people were walking past, and they were looking like, and these are nurses, and like, don't look at me, like they couldn't hide it. So that's how it's basically all happening internally. But you feel it, obviously, but it's not what you see on TV. And that's why we need to go get checked out, because you could be somewhere eating, chilling, and all of a sudden, bam, and
that's
you
so
can't
terrifying.
fall out, especially if you're shoveling snow.
I think that's something
like
huge.
That. Yeah, pushing stuff. You can't do that.
I, last year, it was either last year or 2 years ago, because, I sell real estate. So I have a huge passion for homeownership community and all of that. And I know that people have a lot of heart attacks when they're shoveling that snow. That's typically like one of the biggest things that people do that can onset a heart attack. So last year or the year before that, my team and I decided we're going to pay for the elderly people to go and, get their snow shoveled when it was like a blizzard. And so many people were grateful because they were scared of their parents having a heart attack, trying to manage that on their own. So I think that's huge to let people know, hey, be careful letting your elderly parents or whoever shovel snow, because it can lead to a heart attack. Seriously, you could like pull something. Did you feel like you were going to die?
Not until I got to the hospital and saw my vitals, and they told me what was about to happen, and if I didn't get this or that, and they messed up so bad, they were about to do something. They were going to shock my heart, and the doctor in Barrington told me if they had did that in Vista, I would have died.
Vista's messed so many people up. Vista misdiagnosed me with a couple things. I was like, I'm having an anxiety attack. Well, they said I was having an anxiety attack. They said I had asthma, and then they gave me an inhaler, which is a stimulant, which make my anxiety attack worse. Did that make you feel like a new passion maybe for hospitals to bring something good to Waukegan? I mean, you're so you're so loving of your community. You want the best for your community. When you went through that with Vista, did it make you think of getting into something medically? Bringing it to the community?
Well, not with Vista.
Not with Vista. No, separate. Like something new, kicking that out.
We came to the town meeting when Vista was about to close down, and they got a terrible rating. And, we were all just upset about that. And we realized that if you have trauma care that's not there for you in the region, you have to travel 30 minutes, and that might be too long to get to Condell. All that happened. But I recognize my strengths. And one thing I realize is that I partner with people who can do what I can't do. I'm not a doctor. That may not be my passion. I can speak to it to some capacity because I've had more experiences in that with Vista and other hospitals in this region. However, my passion is to help individuals in other areas.
Amen.
And so I need somebody who's passionate about that so I can uplift you.
Right.
And one of the things I think we have a problem with is I don't want to be everything.
Right.
I just want to be what I'm good at or what God called me to do. And that's important because people think you should be doing this. You
Right.
should be doing that.
Because they
You should
see
be-
you're good at one thing and they try to put you in everything. It's like, no, I have to delegate.
Yes.
I can help manufacture that, but I can't do it all, and I need a team.
Because you could be the answer in that area, and here I come. Well, I could do it too, and then
Right.
I halfway do it, and I'm hurting folks because you're anointed and graced to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's best for me to partner with you and build you up because you're good in that area, and vice versa for me in the area that I'm good at.
Yeah, and I feel like also in our community, and it's getting better. I'm seeing it get better, but sometimes people don't want to share, right? People don't want to be the one to uplift somebody. It's like, no, I have to do it. And it's like, well, you're not probably the best person for it. Let somebody else do it. But because maybe popularity or whatever it is, somebody else is doing it, but they're not doing it to the capacity that it should be done. Do you witness that a lot, even with like legacy? You know, people who, I don't know, it could be like an ugly thing too. Everything can be an ugly thing, but
Yeah.
do you go through that with people hating on what you're doing, or?
Well, Jesus was not a prophet. Doesn't have honor in their own city.
Right.
Most rappers die in the city that they rap in or that they come from. When we get into haterism and all that, I like to focus on the fact that God has called everybody to a certain. I'm
Amen.
not focused on you.
Right,
I can't.
right.
Like I said, we're doing so much. I have to focus on
You
what
have-
God called me
yes.
to do. And I think what'll happen is you'll find out who's called to what if you just give it time.
Right,
Give it a couple of years and you realize, that's not really you.
right.
Or you're trying to be something that you're
Maybe
not.
because it's popular or
Yeah,
whatever
or
it is,
it-
and you start to see the true heart.
And it's funny because when we had nothing, we were broke, dirt poor, asking somebody to help us, please, the coalition, everybody, please. And and we were gleaning off them, and me and my wife were just going through hell. Everybody loved us then.
Yeah.
They love you when you're on the bottom, and then
And there
because
they can say, we helped bring it here. We helped.
We
Yeah.
grassroots. We're like dirt roots.
Right.
Like, okay,
Right.
we had nothing, had nobody helping us, and then something good happens for you, and then people fall off like, oh, you think you're somebody, or you think, and not realizing, you're dying for this. This is what you're called to do, and especially if you're watching it well, you should tell that either that person has a grace for it or not. If that person is anointed for it, called to do it, and it can't be stopped, then cheer it on.
Amen.
And I think I'm for that. And whatever your work is,
Right.
you're God's workmanship.
Amen.
I'm gonna cheer you on. I'm not gonna try to mimic you
Right.
because it's gonna back in the day we had Run DMC, we had Kool Moe Dee, and we had Snoop Dogg, and we had Dre, and we had other people, right? You had New York, you had West Coast. Nobody sound the same.
Right.
You could, if you did that, somebody be like,
Right.
man, now it's like we're all,
Yeah.
if we all get into a branch, it's reentry, mental health. We all should be doing all that, but it should be something about you, because we're all going to do the same thing
Right.
to some degree. But something about you says, no, that's your niche. You've carved that out. God, I could see it. You don't have to say a word.
Right.
You don't have to break this down. I could see it from afar. If that's not you, you shouldn't be doing it.
So that's so good. Thank you for that. So when people are coming to you through this reentry program, are they, there's got to be a point where somebody says, well, what am I supposed to do, George? I'm finally kind of like figuring out I'm done with the addiction or whatever it is. The record's been cleaned up, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But how do you motivate the people who are starting from scratch, who are trying to figure out their niche? People are always wondering, what's my purpose, right? Where do I fit in? And a lot of people can't seem to navigate life without knowing what their purpose is. I know what mine is, and it has nothing to do with my career. But when you're talking to somebody who feels like they need that purpose to be fulfilled, how do you kind of navigate them as a coach or somebody who's handling that?
There's some natural inclinations there. What are you good at that you would do even if you weren't getting paid for it? If money is a factor, that's a problem. If the money's up or money's down, you got to keep doing this. It's you. Okay. Then there's the God factor.
Yes.
And so I tend to lean on the God factor. Pray and ask him, if you have a relationship with him, that's what worked for me. what should I be doing? And then look for him to answer that. That's what faith is. I'm not just trying to be religious or just sounding deep or going
Right,
to church.
right.
If I believe that, I'll start seeing nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
People will come to me, hey, you're good at that. I remember I was at church, and I'm in church. I'm not, and almost every service, somebody will bring me to the back and hey, can you talk to this? Can you talk to my son? Can you talk? He just got out of jail. I'm like, I'm not the jail guy.
Right.
What is this? I'm at church.
Right.
But they keep coming. You know, I became at Lake County Jail. I went from went near. 7 years I had to wait to get in there, and then finally they said, take your little book and you can come in here and speak. And then all of a sudden I start cutting hair, and then I start teaching, and then they gave me my own classes, started
Amen.
growing, and it's like the guys got out and they were like, Nuggets, that's George. And so now everybody in Lake County Jail knows me. It's like, wait a minute, but I still don't know, God, what I'm supposed to do. It's right under your nose.
It's right there. Yeah.
What ministers to God and people? Because if you look at, and we talk about in the natural sense, people that make the most money are in businesses that serve people.
100%. 100%.
So if you're not, and that's just, the world copying God.
Yeah.
So if you are not serving or not helping or not doing something, if your niche or whatever you do does not minister or help people to some capacity, first ask yourself, is God pleased with it? Secondly, what am I good at? What do people will tell you? And
people will tell you. And I think that's something that, if you're not in your right mind sometimes, or maybe you're just, who knows, whatever the trauma is there when people are telling you, because I was told for a long time, Melissa, you are so good at sales. Oh my gosh. And every time I would go on like Indeed or anything like that, put my resume out there, because I was a waitress for years. And they'd be like, somebody would say, well, you take the sales position, you'd be great for sales. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do sales. I don't want to be salesy. But everybody was telling me, you are so good at sales. You just have and I'm like, nah, you just want me to work for you. Like I wasn't thinking that what they were saying was actually for me. I thought that it was like my mind just wasn't great at the time. I was just thinking everybody was out to get me. I was just thinking, everybody wanted to do one over on me.
Yeah.
Now look. I decided, you know what? Everyone keeps saying I'm good at sales. I should probably get into sales. And God has blessed my business in sales to be, the top Latina ran team in Lake County, But sometimes I'm like, man, should I have listened to people earlier? Nobody was really out to get me or trying to get me to just work for them. They saw this thing that was natural in me.
Yeah.
And I heard it from more than one person. So to your point, people will tell you, you're good at this. Why don't you think about doing this? And maybe you should take a chance on that for anybody that's listening that's like, I don't know what to do. I heard I'm good at this. Like, maybe try it. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. And I use examples like you. And I have several in the community, way more than I can name here. People, advocates, community advocates who have started businesses and things have failed and they came back, and it's like, man, that's you. And you look at that and say, okay, this person won't stop. And so when you get into any business, I always say you shouldn't have a plan B.
Right.
I don't have a plan B. If this doesn't work, I can't go to Walmart and
man, that's a whole thing.
not that I haven't worked at MCO, not that I haven't worked 7,000 jobs, but I can't.
Right.
Because I'm addicted to doing what God called me to do and helping people. I don't know how to retire.
There's no other option.
What is retire?
Yeah, there's no other option.
This is what I do till I die.
And that's something I also told myself when I felt God calling me to get into my business. I quit serving. I went out on a limb. I just stopped because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know. I'm scared. I don't want to. I know I should do that, but I don't want to like, it's my plan A and maybe I'll have a plan B. And I'm like, no. You can't have no plan B.
Right.
You have to make it work. If this is what you really feel like you should be doing, there is no other option.
Yes.
So for me, it came to a point where it's like, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to make it work.
Yeah.
It's either this or die.
Yeah.
And, but now it's like, okay, I know that that's not my calling. It's just something I'm really good at that I do. My calling is to serve people. So even if it was through real estate or whether it was through serving people at McDonald's, I went and I got served today at Burger King, and this man had so much joy serving me. And I just had to sit there and encourage him. And he started crying. I was like, I just want to let you know what you do is important.
Yes.
Like, you made my day by coming and serving me with a smile on your face. So there's a way to serve people in anything that you do. Yeah. But that comes from also knowing who God is and honoring, people and loving people like Jesus loves us, right?
That's right.
So that's so good. So everybody's got a purpose.
Yeah.
whether you've had a past, whether you've gone through legacy. How does somebody find legacy? Like if they're going through it, how do you guys get people in the door? What does that look like?
Well, I call it hand-to-hand combat.
Mm-hmm.
I love being in the community, talking to people, having a relationship with people. That's important. And then we have an excellent marketing team.
Shout out Robin.
Robin Yvette.
Robin
oh
Yvette.
My goodness. I mean, she is dynamic.
She really is. I love that girl.
Top podcaster in Chicago.
She's
Anyway,
wonderful. Shout out
just
Robin E.
Robin
and Pillow Talk
E.
Podcast. I'm going to put you
Yes.
all on. Pillow Talk
Pillow Talk.
Podcast
Come on.
with Robin E. She's wonderful.
So, but yeah, you gotta partner with people that are better than you, and they're excellent at what they do. She's excellent at marketing. We started out. I was the one on Canva. I was the one. My wife was. We were on PicMonkey. We started out, with Constant Contact. It was just us sending
Yeah.
out emails, and then you have people who could take it to another level. So you have marketing. And you have that hand-to-hand combat, what I call just actually having a relationship with people, talking to people, being in their face in the community. And that's how we reach people. And I'm telling you, God just sends them.
Yeah.
I mean, like you just came and
Yeah.
look where we are now.
We're
It's
here talking to
relationship.
y'all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
amazing. So
It's beautiful. Now, I want to talk a little bit about what Legacy Reentry offers too, because we've talked about expungement. This might touch somebody tonight, somebody with a record, somebody who doesn't know that there's opportunities for second chances there, right?
Yes.
And can you explain expungement for somebody who might be watching? And shout out to my husband. Let me just real quick give a shout out to a couple people who are on live right now. Robin Yvette, we love you, girl. Shout out to you. My husband says, by having a plan B, you're already accepting it as an L, as a loss. You make a plan work. And then he says, yeah, that Burger King was fire. And then Kim gave a little heart thing. And then Matt Thornton said, two of my favorite people on earth. We love you guys.
that's my
Thank
guy.
you guys. These are people making, this is why I love this podcast. Last week we had a comedian on, but for the most part, I do love to highlight people in our community that are doing amazing things. So once again, thank you for coming on.
No,
and
thank you for
thanks
having me.
to the viewers who are
Shout out
tuning
to
in.
Matt, Robin, the family. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all.
Yes, thank you guys. And share this video if you guys want, and tell your
share,
friend
share.
about Mr. George Moore. So, and Myra Prado Pagan is giving us some love too. That's my favorite attorney in the world,
Uh-oh.
my real estate attorney. She's wonderful.
Yes.
Myra can probably, well, she does real estate law, but there's a lot of people, going back to our point about expungement, sealing of records. I mean, everyone's got a past, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. We've all been young once.
Yes.
I've made some mistakes in my life, and I've got a lot of friends who are like, I can't go get this job because maybe I have a record. And I heard through some little birdies, some of my favorite birds, that you've helped people with expunging cases and sealing cases. Can you talk about that for anybody that doesn't know?
I tell you, I got stories and testimonies for days. You got to give credit where credit is due. When I first got out, I was looking for groups to help me. And there were groups like Waukegan Township. Okay. And, you had Emeritus Patricia Jones, and she was there, and supervisor, and they had all these programs, and they were the ones who were doing expungement and things of that nature. And so they started out with that. And when we got into it, now fast forward, we started saying, okay, let's partner with them. And then we were able to do it on our own with people like Prairie State Legal.
Prayer State, not Prairie, Prayer.
Prairie.
Okay, Prairie.
Prairie State Legal.
Prairie State Legal. Shout out Prairie State Legal.
Prairie State Legal. Shout out to you all, family G. And also, just a testimony. We have a brother here named Robert Foster.
Let me tell you about Robert. Robert and Christina have become some of my best friends.
Yes.
These are good people. Talk
are.
about Robert. We love
I
us
got
some
to.
Robert.
I have to. So we were having an expungement fair one day with Prairie State Legal. And it was a lot of people there. And we were getting ready to stop. And then next thing you know, so Robert was packing up. And he was telling me this amazing, I won't even call it a testimony, his story, because it involved him at an early age, young, and he couldn't get his record expunged or sealed. And there's a difference, I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yes, please.
And so I said, well, Prairie State is still here, man. He was packing up and said, I don't know. I said, man, talk to him. I was begging him, please talk to him, bro. Talk to him. Now let's fast forward. They went through the process with him, and they were able to get his record sealed.
Amen. At no cost to him.
Well, he'll tell you the cost.
Okay, okay.
But I think they do it free.
Zero. He said, Robert said zero. No
Okay.
cost to
Prairie
him.
State does it pro bono. Shout out to Prairie State.
Shout out Prairie State.
And
Do they have a
so-
website? We could put in the link.
You know what?
Robert? Okay,
Robert's
thank you.
got us.
We'll put that in the comments.
And so they're able, so they come for our expungements quarterly and the sealing of cases. Now, the difference is, when you get your record, and I'm sure some people understand that when you get your record expunged, that nobody can see it except for certain individuals like law enforcement if they really dug down deep, or your job if they really dug, but it's not on the surface. It really can't be found. When you seal your case, it's where you can't see it. And it's not to be, you just can't. It's a difference between the two. The process is totally different. Again, Prairie State does it for free, but you need to know that they don't do it for Cook County. They don't do it for Wisconsin or over there. It's like Lake County.
McHenry, maybe.
McHenry, thank you.
Yep.
And so, and then they'll tell you the exact process. What we have to be careful with is some people have different cases. And so we give you a broad understanding of what it is, and then you come in and say, they told me I get no, that particular case you cannot get expunged. And they will tell you what cases cannot get expunged. And they'll also tell you the difference, what cases can be sealed and how long the process is different for everybody.
That's so valuable. So if anybody is dealing with something that maybe they can't get ahead in life because maybe they have a case that could be expunged, right? Because not everything can. Yeah. And they're wondering, what can I do here? Prairie State Legal is somebody that you guys have partnered with that you would recommend maybe them reaching out to in Lake and McHenry County. Shout out to them. They're going to want to take a reel from this and post this on their social media because we are plugging them. We are plugging them. Yeah, for real. pay our 39. No, but so that right there is a power of a second chance, right?
Yeah.
Somebody who maybe doesn't know, because I mean, let's be real, in our communities, in our Waukegans, in North Chicago, Beach Park, Winthrop Harbor, we're not taught that these things can be done. Even in school, nobody, just like they don't teach us about credit, we all make mistakes, depending on what our youth look like or what we look like at some point in our lives that just maybe wasn't very nice or clean. And so the opportunity to have a second chance is there. And so thank you for sharing that with everybody. I do hope that helps somebody who's watching this, and maybe they can share that for a brother, whoever. That's just part of what Legacy Reentry has partnerships with, right?
Yes.
What else do you guys, other than the community closet, where if you guys have clothes to donate, right?
Yes, clothes to donate. Also, if you know someone who is dealing with mental illness, we are partnered with NAMI, National Alliance for Mental Illness. My wife and I are also facilitators. And so we can assist you with that. We are not therapists, but we can be frontline and get you to the help and assistance that you need. We also have agencies who can help you with free therapeutic services. We have a psychologist, shout out to Dr. Robert, who comes every week and he sits down, he says, how can I help you and assist you? So we have some serious individuals who understand the need, and they're there for you and for us. We're partnered with, I don't know how many people in the community. I don't know how to tell you this, but if you haven't heard of Triple C's, NFPs.
Yep, this girl, Kim Scardina, said Triple C's, NFP. And Regina said clients come to Legacy for referral to PSL. Talk about Triple C. I drank some Triple C's one time in my youth, and it was not.
We're not talking
wrong Triple C's, y'all.
Wrong Triple C's. No, I mean, listen, we had an event recently called Orange the Block, okay, where we want you to be seen because we're saying stop the violence. And so we were wearing orange. And you know the story with that. You can look that up. The point is, Triple C's came out and they had the block sold up. They're partners with us. They're helping us in so many areas. I also want to shout out Home Away from Home.
Home Away from Home.
Oh man, if you don't know Oscar Parham and
he's gonna come on soon.
He needs to come on because that's my guy. His testimony is amazing. But we started out together. As soon as he got out, Rita Mayfield brought him to me.
Amen.
And
Shout out Rita.
I don't have time to tell you, but I didn't know years ago I was praying for him because I knew his sister, and we went to the same church. She says, pray for my brother. And I said, when they told me, I said, I don't know if he's going to get out. That's a faith move. So we kept praying. Then I went to jail. There's a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, good stuff, but God is moving.
But however, when he got out, I found out when Rita brought him to me, this is the guy you've been praying for.
Isn't that crazy how God works? God works in such miraculous, supernatural ways.
Man.
God works in, oh man, I just love supernatural testimonies. And that's something we got to talk about soon because people really like, man, we could just get into that
I got
sometime.
so many of them.
Man, God is just on the move.
He is. And, I got to shout out, there's so many people in the community that we're partnered with that it would fail me. We could put them in the comments. I know y'all got my back with Legacy, because if I name one person other than the two I just named, then people are going to get mad at me. So we love all y'all, and we are working with every last one of you that's in the Lake County region and beyond.
Amen. Juanito Gastelum. I love you, Juanito. Thank you, my brother. I love that, man. He's always working. Shout out to Juanito. You guys go follow him. Regina Moore. Man, I like Wifey. She said, we offer community service hours, life skills classes, and LAMP. So she's on it, too. She's telling you guys, you can go to Legacy Reentry, which is located where? I know where it is, but I'm going to let y'all say it.
So, the downtown location, to make it easy for you, is right across the street from the Waukegan Police Department. It's 418 and 420 Clayton, downtown Waukegan. You'll see two buildings that say Legacy. So many testimonies with that.
Amen.
Then if you go on Green Bay Road, you will see a building that's adjacent to Jewel Osco that says it has a big Legacy sign on it, and that's our Legacy Center. So you have the Legacy House downtown, and you have the Legacy Center at 1095 Green Bay Road. Our phone number is 800-573-8538, and you can always go to our website, www.legacyreentryfoundation.org.
We'll put that in the comments as well. For anybody who has somebody who, if it's yourself or if it's somebody that you love or somebody that you know that might be struggling with mental illness, that wants to maybe do some community hours or whatever it may be, or talk about expungement, talk about the opportunities that you guys have, you can go to the website or reach out to you guys directly.
Yes.
And we have such, okay, I'm going to answer that in a moment. We have such a great base here in Waukegan for people to get help. Christina said, which location can we donate clothing to? And Vanessa Alexander said she loves Legacy Family in Triple C.
That's Mother. That's what we call her, Mother.
Yes, Mother.
And so you can donate to the downtown location across the street from the Waukegan Police Department. And if you come near, I say between the hours of 10 to 3, Monday through Friday, we can assist you. And we look forward to your donation so we can help those who are in the community.
Is there age limits with Legacy?
Well, there are you're looking at, that's a hard one because it's 13 and up.
Okay.
But sometimes we've had people bring us stuff that like for babies and stuff like that. But we can't accept everything.
Yep.
But let's focus on, if we could say 13 and up.
13 and up.
That's most of our programs are rooted in those numbers.
Okay, awesome. And so I have a personal question. Just me loving on my community, seeing my community. But of course, if we're not in these things, we don't really understand. We only see surface level. We don't understand the inner workings, what's really going on. When we're dealing with, mental health, when we're dealing with, I don't know if I should ask this, but what do you feel is the root cause of a lot of this in our area? Is like fatherless children? Is it violence? Is it like what would you say do you guys deal with mostly?
Well, the vast majority of people who are formerly incarcerated or have been incarcerated come from fatherless homes. But those are surface kind of answers for me, because you look at the drug addicts, you look at people who have addictions in those high risk areas. But let's talk about broken homes. Let's talk about trauma. Let's talk about the triggers that we get. Let's talk about even something deeper as environmental and chemical responses. And, sometimes your mother or father was doing drugs. And so you're born with certain. I had a woman who was crying today. Was preached at Long Grove Church. God bless y'all. Shout out to y'all. Afterwards, a woman came to me crying. She said, "My friend or son is really her nephew. It's a weird relationship, and he's bipolar." And she was crying. She's like, "How do I deal with it?" She said, "Is it sin? Is it sin? Is it the devil, or is it something biological?" And I said, "I'm gonna mess you up, but it's both."
Yeah.
Because we were all born in sin.
Amen.
And so nobody's perfect. Because you live in an imperfect world, don't expect for us to have peace. When you're born, there's the environment, there's how with the air you breathe. So those are root causes of mental illness.
Right.
And then you have spiritual dynamics, that you have an enemy. And so you have divorce in families. You have trauma. Somebody touched you when you were younger. This happened. You can't get this out of your head. Those things are still in you. It's a screenshot. Shameless plug.
Yes, we're going to talk about that in a minute.
But those are things. So it's both. It's rooted in spiritual dynamics and it's rooted in natural dynamics. So you can't just stop and say, "Let me pray for you,"
Right.
without finding out the root causes of what that person is dealing with, because everybody is different.
Everybody is different. Me, I was diagnosed bipolar. And so I'm going to talk about it right now here on Dial In. I actually ended up in a mental institution one time. Shout out Waukegan. Y'all did not let me break out the windows. I was mad. I was going through it. When I was in my spiritual warfare, they took me in my grippy sock vacation, Mr. Moore. And I was calling my husband, bring me out of here. Because I checked myself in. I was talking about hurting myself. I checked myself into Vista. And they took me away. And so with that, during that time, you get an analysis and all of that. And I was diagnosed bipolar. And I was raised in a Pentecostal home.
Yeah.
So for us, it was a lot of like, oh, it's, demonic. It's demonic. She
Yep.
needs to be. And so, yeah, there was, a lot of things there in my family line and a lot of things that, were attached to me. But also, as I started to do my research, because I'm not a stupid girl, I was like, there's got to be something more to this. Yes, I'm going to pray and do all that. But why am I getting triggered in these episodes?
Yep.
What is triggering me in these episodes?
Yep.
Come to find out, sugar is not my friend, right? So once I did my research and said, what is triggering these manic episodes for me to go into this huge bipolar, almost like a schizophrenia thing, I started looking at my diet.
Yep.
And so when we're raised in the church, sometimes, people think it's just this demonic thing. And it is partially spiritual. There was things that I had to go through. But a lot of it is also, like you said, environmental. What are you putting into your body? What are you listening to? What's triggering you? It's a
Yes.
whole thing. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. So thank you.
It's really, and thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's really holistic in the sense of it's a health issue. It's a health crisis. And so, like we look at violence as a health crisis. It's a community health crisis. It's somebody asked me, they said today, if we have God and he's the ultimate counselor, why are we talking about mental health in the church? And they asked me in front of everybody, and I said, and it was
I rebuke you. Get out. No, I'm just kidding.
I said, cut. No, I'm just
For real. No, but these are very real questions.
Very real questions. And the guy gave me the funniest answer. I said, does anybody in here have a doctor? They already, we got doctors. I said, but you guys are saved.
Right.
Why do you have doctors? I had a friend come up to me and my wife, because we published our own books, and I used this example today. I said, she asked us, she said, would you self-publish our book for us? We said, why not? Why wouldn't we? He said, well, you guys, we're saved and everything. It's a book on history. And I said, so God doesn't do history?
Right. What is the Bible? What is the Bible?
What are we doing? So I think it's the irony of us saying that mental health, just like you go to a doctor, it's a health crisis. It's just like, so you should have, the terminology should be in the church. There should be no stigma as it is in the church behind these issues, because it's just like going to the doctor, just like getting a checkup. It's something going on in your mind. It's something going on in your body.
There could be chemical imbalances
because of your body. And so if we don't talk about, and there's people who specialize in that, then we're rooting it out and saying, okay, that's a devil. When it's just a doctor.
Amen. Yeah.
That's weird.
It is very weird. And if you're really in your word and you know God sent people to help people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's beautifully said. Now, man, this is just so good. I don't want to end, but we're gonna pivot now to something that you've been working on.
Okay.
You have a special announcement.
Yes.
Because you're doing so much, Mr. Moore. I'm glad you're still here. I'm glad that heart attack did not take you out, sir.
Oh,
Because
me
God
too.
obviously has a lot more things for you to do. So talk
Yes.
to us about this movie. You're doing a movie?
We are doing a documentary.
Okay, it's still a movie to me.
It's a movie. It's a movie.
Still a
It's about an hour long. It's a movie. And it's called Screenshot.
Okay.
Exploring the impact of oversaturated media on the mind.
Talk about it.
And so basically, we've been doing this work for over 10 years. and I start seeing some things going on with our clients. Why I got a job for you, but you didn't go. Why, there's this thing going on the inside. There's fear of success. There's this FOMO, this fear of missing out when somebody's not on their phone. There's all kind of stuff going on with my clients. I start seeing stuff, and I said, and that's when we got into mental health, but we were already into renewing the mind. And so I talked to LMG, Carlos Smith, Zach, Sean, who does our stats and statistics, and Robin. And I said, guys, we got to do something. Let's go into documentaries. Let's do a reel. Let's talk about this and talk about what our clients, because it's mental illness. There's something going on. And we start seeing it was these things. It was media. It was the television. It was videos. It was everything that you are technology.
Right.
And so we went and got the best people. We got all kind of psychologists and doctors, and we got my pastor in there. We got some other folk in there. We got the Faith Dynamic. We got myself. We got some powerful people in there. We got Chat GPT. We did an interview with Chat.
You did an interview with Chat.
We hit it hard.
Yep.
And guess what? Everybody wants to fix things. We're not trying to fix it.
You're trying to raise awareness.
We're trying to explore.
Okay.
So we're just going to put it out there, and you tell us, is this a good or bad conclusion that we have in our community for our young people?
Right.
Like, they had no time to respond to it when it first came out. And so now we're going back and saying, listen, this thing was put on us. And so we're putting a movie out, and it's coming out June 26th.
June 26th. And where can people find that?
June 26th at Lake County, Grays Lake College.
Okay.
The AO11 Auditorium.
That's amazing.
Yes, and shout out to College of Lake County.
We love College of Lake County.
Shout out to State Rep Rita Mayfield and Senator Adrian Johnson and so many others who are supporting, obviously, Triple C's, NFPs, and others who are out there beating the ground and telling the world about it, because we want to let people know that this thing is hurting us.
Yeah.
And we want you to come to your own conclusion about it.
Absolutely.
And so June 26th, Thursday, which is a Thursday, this Thursday.
This Thursday, y'all.
I don't know when this will be. Well, it's live.
Yeah,
So
this is live right now.
Thursday.
Yeah, this Thursday.
This Thursday, and it will be at 6 p.m. at the College of Lake County. And so that's West Washington, and you can look that up and come see us. It's going to be powerful.
I am so happy for you. I'm so grateful that you're doing all this work. I see our community. I mean, I deal with housing, and that in itself it can be so rough. People not having a place to live, the most basic necessity. And so seeing that and seeing, so many boots on the ground, whether it's you, whether it's Matt, whether it's Oscar, whether it's Carlos, whether it's our pastors, whoever it is, to see that this is happening in Lake County, I want to give you your flowers. And I just want to say thank you, because maybe you're not told that enough, but you're making such a difference in so many people's lives. And from me on the outside, just running a business and seeing that, I'm grateful that you exist. I'm grateful that things like this that you have created exist. I'm grateful for the help that people can seek out. And for those of you that don't know, that are just now coming in the chat, we've got George Moore here with Legacy Reentry, who's doing so many great things for second chances for people that might have been incarcerated. And not only you, we look at Matt, we look at Rita, we look at so many people doing so many things for either, adults coming out of incarceration or youth that needs help. We are people desperate for change. We are people desperate for God, but sometimes we don't know who to lean into. Sometimes we don't know that these things exist. And you're here, and I'm grateful for you. And I pray that God can just continue to bless you and grow you, and that everything just continues to help others for the greater work of all.
Well, thank you for two things. Thank you for mentioning prayer. Because we need your prayers. We solicit your prayers. Without your prayers, we couldn't move forward. And for mentioning other people in the community that are doing the same thing.
Absolutely.
Not the exact same thing, but are doing the work.
We all works together.
And it all works together for good. And so this changes the mind of individuals who look at people like you and me and say, how can I get there? And then you're just being real and say, listen, I was just like you.
Right.
And I just stayed with it and have faith in God, and that'll change their minds and stop them from what they're doing and say, I want to be like Alyssa, and I'm going to get on that level and help my community.
What would you say before we leave, if you could leave everybody with one thing? What's one thing that you would leave the viewers with tonight?
Very simple. Put God first. And I know that's so elementary, but put him first. because we sometimes we put him on the back burner, and then I mean, if Jesus is not your all in all, that's on you. I'm not trying to proselytize people, but I'm just saying I'm a living example that God did it for me, and I came from nothing, from dirt. People know me at JB's. I quit, said I'm going to go out there and do this, and then I had to go back with my tail tucked because it wasn't working, and I went out again because I can't stop it. This is what God has called me to do, and so what I'm saying to you is, it's in you. Just believe God. Just put him first, and you'll get to where he wants you to be. It doesn't have to be on a big screen. It doesn't have to be whatever God has for you is for you.
And it will fulfill you. And a lot of people think that because of media, I have to be on the big screen. God has a way of working all things, whether it's underground or whether it's right here in the spotlight. He has a purpose for you. And so I just want to thank you, Mr. Morford. Thank you so much for coming on, for taking a chance on my podcast.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I was tired before I got here, but now I'm woke.
I was a little sleepy.
Look at the setting. Look at
Yes.
just the grace.
Thank you. I'm grateful. I'm still learning how to, navigate through this and the guests that I have on and watching my mouth because I'll be slipping up sometimes. But, I have guests like you and it just re-energizes me. And I look at Waukegan and I look at events like Juneteenth and I look at everything that everybody's doing and so many good things are happening. I just can't wait to see the workings that are happening now that everybody's doing and putting their hands in, to see it happen in 10 years. Where are we going to be? I just see it, and I just see such a change. I see value going up. I see the eyes shifting from what people see Waukegan or Zion or anything like that, North Chicago as, and I really do see a change because of people like you and so many others that are planting those seeds now that harvest is coming. And I just cannot wait. I pray to God that I can see the day if he doesn't come until then.
Oh my God.
So thank you guys. Share this video. I'm going to go ahead and start closing us out.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to share with anybody before we end the podcast?
Alyssa.
Oh, you're so sweet.
RF39.
Yes.
Go support them. They are doing an amazing work. Thank you for having me. I don't deserve to be here.
Yes, you do. Everybody has a spot here. Everybody has a spot on Dial In, and I'm grateful for everybody that does Dial In. It's a newer podcast, and I've got great support with Rob and Christina here at RF39 Productions, and of course, God for just, giving me the right guests and, sometimes giving me a little spiritual ass whooping on what I should and should not say. But I'm working on it, and I'm trying to honor him through everything that I'm doing, and I'm learning. I'm learning. Robert's laughing at me. He's like, Christina.
Repent. No,
Lord Jesus. I'm learning. Look, I'm red now. This makeup won't hide it. Once again, I'm still learning, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have this platform and for the people who dial in. So thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate it. Before we wrap up, don't forget to give a thank you to our sponsor, Jay's Tires and Customs, lifting rides and lifting lives, baby. Pimp my ride. Call Juan at 224-733-5267, or you can visit them at 824 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Heights. So if you have a vehicle that you want to get customized, they sponsored this video tonight. I'm super appreciative of them. Shout out our 39 Productions. Shout out Legacy Reentry. We put the website there for you guys. Please go this. Can you repeat the day? For the movie?
June 26th, rather. This Thursday, June 26th at the College of Lake County, Grays Lake campus.
Amen. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mr. George.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime.
Awesome.
Hello.
Turn it up now, but